Welcome everybody back to the Monday Night Wars. This is week number 60 for the WWF side. This is the 188th episode of Raw in its history from the USA Network from the New Haven Coliseum in New Haven, Connecticut. The Raw took place on December the 9th, 1996. Ratings for this Raw were a 2.3. Nitro got a 3.3, so WCW wins for the 24th week in a row. Now, after this week's loss, the scoreboard for the WWF is 17 wins, 41 losses, and 2 draws all time. 17, 41, and 2 is the record for Raw. At one point, they were tied 17, 17, and 2. But Raw, that's what happens when Raw loses 24 weeks in a row. They have a record of 17, 41, and 2. And that Raw that lost the week with the 2.3 rating was brought to you by Vince McMahon, The King, and JR. Show opens up with the pallbearer's portrayal at SummerSlam from a few months ago, and then they show the Buried Alive match because they're hyping the Undertaker Mankind for tonight. No holds barred. So it says we've seen them at the Boiler Room, we've seen them buried alive, but we've never seen them no holds barred, and that's tonight. So the show opened with video packages of their feud, and then WWF champion Psycho Sid came out. No Raw theme, just the champion Sid came out to take on the IC champion Helmsley in a champion versus champion non-title match. This is the go-home show to In Your House It's Time, where Sid will defend the championship and face Brett. Helmsley will face Mero for the IC title. Both these guys are not at risk losing their title in this champion versus champion match because, again, it's a non-title match. Helmsley to go one-on-one with Psycho Sid here. Sid has the cool graphic of his letters behind him with the sparklers as he comes to the ring and poses. The title belt looks pretty cool on Sid. Pretty badass with the SID letters in the sparklers that make SID, and behind him with the vest, with the title, with the wing title. It looked pretty neat. Psycho Sid with a fist to the chest dominated Helmsley, clotheslining him to the floor. Sid dropped Hunterhurst Helmsley on the guardrail. He Irish ripped into the canvas. A lot of power moves by Psycho Sid. Sid comes up with a powerbomb and attempt and finished it. Hunterhurst Helmsley escaped in the entranceway. Triple H ran, and in the end, Sid wins by countout at 3:09. I rated it a star, as Helmsley was about to get the end of that match a loss, but he decided to defeat, losing by defeat, and running out and thought, I'll just lose by countout and save face that way. Bart Gunn takes on Marlena's Goldust. Marlena's out there with Goldust. Bart Gunn with a rake to the face. Marlena almost kissed him on the outside. Bart then got out of that predicament with a roll-up. Bart the southpaw. Goldust hit him with an uppercut. There's a split screen now as they're interviewing Billy Gunn, Bart Gunn's brother. Billy talking about how he's never getting back together with Bart, as Bart applies an armbar to Goldust. Goldust with a clothesline and a reverse chinlock. Bart battled back in and slowly, methodically worked on Goldust, tearing apart his arm. Bart then with a bulldog and almost a 3 count. Goldust back body dropped. Bart off the top missed a crossbody, and Goldust went right in for the injured knee and gets the 3 count. In the end, Goldust won at 5:17 when Bart went down to Goldust and allowed Goldust to pick up some momentum in the match. I rated it a star and a quarter. Billy Gunn comes in the ring after the match and says, "You're nothing, Bart." And McMahon says next week the two brothers will get it on from Tampa, Florida. So yeah, I rated that match a star and a quarter. Double J Jesse James, not Jeff Jarrett, Jesse James, so the Road Dogg, or before he's the Road Dogg, but after he's the Roadie. So he was being called Double J Jesse James. He took on the Justin Hawk Bradshaw and his manager, Uncle Zebekiah, in a 2-on-1 handicap match. So this is interesting. This is supposed to be a handicap match where they tag. It's not a tornado rules where they're both in there at the same time. They have to tag. Uncle Zebekiah, not a wrestler, so this one had some intrigue. James knocked Uncle Zebekiah off the apron, and Bradshaw with a power slam. Jim Ross talks about Bradshaw's potential. Obviously, we'd see that later in years. A headbutt, Double J Jesse James going for a pump handle slam, but is blocked by Uncle Zebekiah. He nails Bradshaw by accident with the branding iron, and Jesse James ducked the attack. So Uncle Zebekiah nailed Bradshaw with Bradshaw afterwards, hit the clothesline from hell to Uncle Zebekiah, and Bradshaw brands JB into Uncle Zebekiah after the match with the branding iron. And that spells the it for Uncle Zebekiah and Justin Hawk Bradshaw, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure this turn was a turn for the good. We'll have to see in the coming weeks. Jim Ross introduces Bret Hart to the ring for a promo. Ross says Bret has to face Sid and how he will deal with the size difference in the match in your house. Ross then showed clips of Austin hitting him with a chair and clips from London last 10 days ago where Sid chokeslammed Bret. Bret says Psycho Sid is not going to be a wrestling match in your house. He said when he snaps, they call him Psycho. But when Bret snaps, they'll call him the World Wrestling Federation champion. He will be known as the champ, and it's all he thought about for 8 months is winning that title. He said, Sid, you're going to be excellently executed by the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Simple promo to the point. Bret Hart gets the point over with Jim Ross that he's going into In Your House. It's time, and it's time for another 4th title reign for Bret Hart. That's what he said anyway. Bret Hart would not win the 4th WWF title at that In Your House. Spoiler. You'll see next week after the show after and why. In the main event, we have The Undertaker with Paul Bearer. The Undertaker versus Mankind with Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer and Mankind's corner. Sorry, it's an automatic thing when I see Undertaker and Paul Bearer. I think they're together, naturally. But this was during the run where Paul Bearer was against The Undertaker. He comes out, Taker in his new vest look that he came in sort of with a Batman jacket, like a big black jacket is where he came back at Survivor Series 96. You can Google the look. He had like a black tier. And, it's a different kind of look and a different kind of thicker vest. More black for The Undertaker. Undertaker with a clothesline to Mankind, torquing the arm, and he goes upstairs to walk the ropes, hitting old school. It wasn't called old school at the time. Mankind dropped with a choke slam. Taker goes for a tombstone. The Executioner comes in, and there's no disqualification. So the Executioner runs back, and Mankind follows the Undertaker and goes to the back, and it's a trap as Mankind catches up from behind and attacks the Undertaker. The Executioner was just bait. The Undertaker, back from the break, though, is back in control, driving Mankind into the steel steps at ringside. The Undertaker just stomped over his claw on the steps, the Mankind's mandible claw hand. The Undertaker is going to slam the steps onto the steps with his claw in between. Smart move by the Undertaker in a no DQ match. Mankind off the ropes, chopping the leg down at the Undertaker after Undertaker slammed the steps in between Mankind's bad hand. Mankind clotheslines the Undertaker with his good arm with an Irish whip as Mankind crashes into the railing. ECW fans in the audience probably chanting, "He's hardcore. He's hardcore." Mankind grabs Taker, sending him to the floor. He put his leg on top of the chair, and Mankind runs off the apron and hyperextends the knee after he drops the elbow onto the chair that had Undertaker's leg on it at ringside by the announce table. The Undertaker tried to stand and couldn't, but Taker elevated Mankind outside the ring and limping around. The Undertaker is taking it to Mankind once again. The Undertaker limping while his hand is tortured. The Undertaker slammed Mankind onto the Spanish announce table and it didn't break. It looked like a big bump. Mankind back into the ring, continuing to work on the knee of the dead man. Mankind then gets to the top and had the chokeslam scouted. He came in with a chair and walks into a boot from the Undertaker. Then the Undertaker punched the chair into Mankind's face. As Mankind had the chair in his hands, and Undertaker punched the chair into Mankind's face. Mankind walks right into a tombstone, but he lands his legs. He landed on his legs, then applied the mandible claw on the dead man. The mandible claw to the dead man, but Taker is fighting it off. By the Undertaker battling for an escape, he swings at Mankind's head to the post. That's how he gets out of the mandible claw to the bad hand, because his hand is injured, so he was able to be vulnerable for a second, and he sent Mankind into the post, and Mankind got set up for the tombstone by the Undertaker with his head to the side of the both legs. And Undertaker dropped Mankind for the tombstone and got a 3 count and won the match at 10-14. Really good no-holds-barred match here between the Undertaker and Mankind. I rated it 3 stars. After the match, the Executioner locks on a sleeper on the Undertaker. This episode scored a quality rating of 5 out of 10 because it had a decent opener with the IC and WWF champion going at it, a Bret promo, and the Undertaker Mankind no-holds-barred match. For a 1-hour show, you can't ask for a lot, and if you get one quality match in that 1-hour show, it's going to get at least an average rating, which is 5 out of 10. So that's why I do. I don't rate Raws the same way I rate Nitros in the sense because it's 1 hour. You got to figure what can they do in the 1 hour. If I rated them the same, it'd be hard because one's 2 hours. But soon enough, they'll both be 2 hours, and the ratings will be a little bit more accurate. That's it for this Raw. I'm Brett Mix. We'll see you on the next one, and I'm out.